Thank you for attending this webinar, Getting Found More and Driving More Visitors to Your Website. I'm your moderator, Jenny Alton, from the New York Small Business Development Center Central Office. Today's presenter is Erik Bunaes, President of Endorphin Digital Marketing. This webinar is brought to you by the New York Small Business Development Center, a network of 20 campus-based centers and outreach offices which are located across New York State, along with the central office based in Albany. The NYSBDC is a U.S. Small Business Administration resource partner. Our free advising, education, research, and advocacy services are made possible by funding from the SBA, New York State, and our host campuses. So you know, this session is being recorded. We will share it with attendees soon, along with a PDF of resources from the presentation. Attendees are muted and will not be on camera today. Your chats will only be visible to me and our presenter. If you have any questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to type them in the Q&A box as they come up. You can open Zoom's Q&A box from the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. We will likely hold most questions until the end of Erik's presentation to ensure he can get through all of his material today. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for, but for very specific questions that may take more time and detail to answer, or if we run out of time to answer all questions, you can get in touch with Erik through the contact info he will share during his presentation. You will also be able to reply to the follow-up email you will receive soon with that recording and PDF to get further assistance. And with that, I will turn the time over to our presenter, Erik.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I appreciate it. And thank you to the New York SBDC and SBA for having me again today. I think this is going to be a great webinar. There's a lot of really good information about how sort of search engines work in digital marketing and sort of getting our websites found more. This is a really important topic because it's very competitive. There's so many websites out there, and driving traffic to your website is really important. The other thing is search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo and all those are changing constantly. So there's different, tactics and techniques and information that we need to know about. Before we get started, just a quick introduction to me. I'm the president and owner of a company called Endorphin Digital Marketing, and we've been around since 2005. I'm also a professional speaker and trainer for Constant Contact, and I've done over 350 of these kinds of classes over the last decade or so. And I'm also an adjunct professor of digital marketing at the College of St. Rose here in Albany, New York. Here's my contact information. Our offices are in downtown Troy. Feel free to call me, email me, or anything like that. If you have any questions or if you need any help, we're happy to speak with anybody. Here's a little bit about our firm in terms of what we do. And, the key word here is marketing. So, we develop marketing strategies for companies and lead generation kind of things, campaigns, and then everything we deliver though is digital. So we do websites and digital advertising and SEO and demand generation strategies. We do email marketing, things like that. And just so you know, about Constant Contact, it's a fantastic tool for helping you with your email and digital marketing operations. There's all sorts of different tools in addition to email that they have, and all sorts of discounts and things like that we can get for you. If you're interested in a demo or you have questions about it, or maybe you want to use it, please contact me also, and we're happy to help you. Anyway, so today, here's kind of the agenda. So the question is, how do search engines work? Google is, handles an enormous number of searches daily, as does Bing and Yahoo and, several other search engines. But how do they really work? And so they're very complicated. They're very, they're not well known. So there's a lot of sort of misinformation out there. It's hard for us to know exactly how they work because they don't tell you. But we do know some things, and so those are the things we're going to share with you. And we're going to talk about keywords and why are keywords so important in this process, and sort of what are keywords and how to find the right keywords for your particular business. What are some of the tools you can use to help you do better in terms of sort of selecting and using keywords. And so those are some of the things that we are going to talk about today. Okay, so let's start off before we talk about keywords, which is going to be a big part of today's conversation. Is SEO. What is SEO? What do we mean when we refer to SEO? So the idea is that it's this sort of process or this area of marketing that works on improving the process to drive quality website traffic to a website or a web page from search engines. And this is sort of unpaid traffic we're talking about when it comes to SEO. So we're not paying for ads. We're not doing search engine ads or any other kind of ads. SEO refers to the doing this sort of driving free traffic to our website. Okay. So that's important to understand sort of what it is. So it's a process. It's an area of expertise. It's very competitive when you think about the number of websites that are based, across the country, across the world, and many of them are working hard to get ranked, right up at the top when certain searches are made. So. And then it changes, as I mentioned. So it's kind of an evolving practice, as is much of marketing. So how does it work, right? So in terms of sort of the machines part, right? So the machines are a big part of this. There are a lot of it, actually. But Google or search engines use bots or robots or automatic code to crawl pages on the web and find all the different pages and websites that are out there, kind of collect and catalog this information, and then creates an index. Okay, and so that's kind of the first step. They're creating this massive index of information, and then they've created algorithms to then sort of analyze the pages in the index and then think about different important factors that will help them make a decision on what are some of the results that they should show based on different queries. When people type something into Google search engine, what does Google want to show you? Well, Google wants to show you the best, most appropriate links that it can show you. And so the reason it wants to do that is because it's a free tool. And so it wants people to continue using it to find what they need. So that's important, is they're trying to find the best, most appropriate content or resources or websites to show people when they search on something, and they're trying to, develop and manage this huge system, and sort of that's the process here. So, and then that, last step 3 is these bots, and try and do that process of figuring out what are you searching for when you type something in, and what are, based on all the knowledge that Google has and all the data, is what should we show on our search results. So, that's what they're trying to do. And then obviously us as marketers or as business owners are trying to get our website found in the search engines as high up as possible in the search results, so that when people search for what they're looking for, hopefully they'll find us, right? So it's as simple as that. That's what SEO is. So what do we need to, as marketers, or as business owners, as people responsible for driving sales through our website or visibility? What are some of the things to think about? So SEO, again, the free part of SEO is sort of broken down generally into 4 areas. So there's what's called on-page optimization. So that's sort of the things that you see on a web page. So the words and the words in different parts of the code, that's on-page optimization. Then there's what's called off-page SEO, or off-page optimization. And that is the stuff that's in the code, but that you can't see. So the on-page stuff is visible when you look at a website. The off-page stuff is only visible in the code itself, behind the pictures, or behind the page kind of thing. So, and both of those are very important. And then a third one is technical SEO, and that's largely on how well is your website set up from like a menu perspective, a hierarchical perspective of menus and sections and that kind of thing. And also a big part of that is page loading speed. So Google knows that if if 2 sites are pretty similar in terms of content, but one loads fast and one loads slow, people are going to have a better experience with the one that loads fast. So that's what they're going to do. So if your pages load slowly, and then that's bad. And so we need to pay attention to that and measure that and try and improve it. So that's the third area of SEO. And then the fourth part is the content itself, the words that you use on your pages, the stuff that's on your regular website, the stuff that's on your blog, that kind of thing. So the content is the fourth bucket. So those are sort of the 4 buckets of SEO, and how the areas that we need to think about if we're SEO specialists or marketing professionals or whatever. Those are the 4 areas we need to pay attention to. Okay. So keywords, it's kind of a confusing idea. But keywords are basically the words that are used by people when they search something in Google. So there's no like list of keywords out there that you need to, that use or not use or something like that. It's just a matter of, if we if we search, for example, on lawn mowing services, right? Then lawn mowing services is sort of the key word. right? That we're looking for. So the keywords also are lawn and mowing and services, but Google knows that when people type that in together, they're looking for something related to getting some services related to lawn mowing. So a keyword is not just a single word, but it could be a keyword phrase. And it can be, pretty long keyword phrase. It could be lawn mowing services and fertilization near me, right? So that's all one keyword. So it's important to understand that we're not talking about single keywords necessarily. It's keyword phrases that is something that we are searching for. So hopefully that helps understand that. And then sort of from a marketer's perspective, we talk about different types of keywords. So we talk about sort of the short tail keywords are the keywords that are like 3 words or less, right? Lawn care services, that would be considered a short tail keyword. But if we did lawn care services near me, that's 5 keywords. So that would be considered a long tail keyword. So long tail keywords tend to have less search volume, right? But they also tend to be less competitive. And so that means you could potentially rank higher relatively quickly compared to if you are trying to compete for a short tail keyword that is very popular, like lawn care, right? That would be a tough one to rank for. So that's why in many cases, a longer tail keyword is something that is more easily attainable, or something where we can be competitive with relatively little work. And then there's some different other types of things. So there's like what we can call evergreen keywords. So, some keywords are specific, right? So if we say financial tips for the fourth quarter 2024, that's not evergreen. There's a, once we get into 2020, so if I said Q4 2023, once we get into 2024, that keyword is going to be kind of irrelevant now, right? Because people aren't going to search for, tips for Q4 2023. But if we just say like retirement tips, that can be what's called an evergreen keyword or evergreen content, because it doesn't refer to any specific time, right? So that's just kind of a different idea of selecting and using keywords is, are there very specific keywords that we want to use to highlight sort of the, today, now, versus sort of anytime. So there's some of those things. These are kind of less important things. It's more for sort of the SEO expert to understand this kind of stuff. But, the idea is that we want to find really specific keywords that we can sort of optimize our website for, and that will drive the right type of visitors to our website. Okay. So, I think we understand now that, keywords are really important because because the way search engines work today still is that they rely mostly on exactly the words you type in. So there's not much sort of inference that Google makes. They just take the words you type in, and then they give you what they think matches that. And so when we are at this stage in our, project and we're looking for keywords, we want to find out exactly what our customers are typing into Google and use those words, exactly, so that hopefully we get a good portion of that traffic coming to us. So one key thing to mention about this too is the tip at the bottom left there. The bottom bullet says, avoid industry speak. In some industries that there's a often used keywords or industry language that customers might not use, but it is common in your industry. So I spent some time in the insurance and reinsurance world, and our way of talking was full of acronyms, right? And nobody would ever know what we were talking about. So you as a marketer, we need to make sure that we're speaking or planning for searches that are how our customers would search, not necessarily how we as industry insiders might search. So that's really important. And as we go through sort of the keyword research phase of SEO planning, then we need to make sure we understand. So again, a marketer's job is to use the language of our customers, understand what our customers need and what they need when they say specific things. So there's a lot of sort of interpretation that goes on, and again, the companies that know their customers best are always going to do better than the companies that don't really pay close attention to what their customers need and want and how they refer to things and the words they use and things like that. So here's sort of like a 3-step process to selecting keywords, right? So the first one we just talked about is think like your customer. So, not really that hard to do, but a lot of people skip this step. So, understand what your customer wants, understand how they would refer to it or how they would search for it or how they would think about it, and, use that insight to inform your research. Another thing to do is study the competition. And here's part of the reason why SEO is so competitive is because we can see what our competitors are doing if we know what we're looking for. So there are, tools out there that can help us, research and see what other companies are doing. There's, we can literally just go on somebody's website and sort of see virtually all of their SEO strategy if we look in the right places. And then the third part is analyze the results, right? Is look at the data of what's happening on your website. Compare that to the data that is available out there, and make sure that you're sort of getting the right, getting this whole strategy right. And, trying new things, correcting things that aren't working that well, focusing on things that do work well and keep doing more of that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of data that will, help you see how your performance is working, right? And, again, you can benchmark against your competition. So, you can look at your competition, see how they're doing, see how they optimize their website for certain keywords. So you might, again, going back to that lawn care example, if you're a owner of a lawn care service and you are going through this process, you might say, well, here's 3 or 4 companies that, are really good. They're everywhere. They're big. They get lots of new customers. I'm going to benchmark my performance against those 4 companies. And so then you can kind of see, well, what are they doing? What keywords are they focusing on? How are they focusing on those keywords? And you can sort of help. There's a number of different strategies to compete against your competitors. So a couple of tools. Here's where everybody says, well, what tools? So I'll give you a couple of tools. So SEMrush, or now it's literally called SEMrush, it is one of really 2 super powerful platforms that most SEO experts use. It's got all sorts of great data. This one is we took the word coffee shop, and we looked at kind of what happens with that. What is sort of the search engine optimization data on the word coffee shop. So we're looking at things like keyword monthly search volume for specific keywords. We're also looking at keyword difficulty. So again, we want to try and compete, for a smaller business, we want to try and compete on keywords that have sort of a lower competition level. Because otherwise, if you're in the coffee shop business, you're going to be competing against Starbucks and Pete's and other big coffee chains and big coffee brands, and you're going to have a really hard time outranking that. So keyword difficulty, search volume, the results, the cost per click for pay-per-click advertising, different trends, keyword variations. There's all sorts of different stuff that we can see and use to inform our strategy. And SEMrush is one of the top 2 tools that people use out there. And I'll talk about the other one after this slide. So in SEMrush, they again rank the keywords in terms of sort of competition, and it's 0 to 100. So it's going to say, okay, you're searching for coffee shop or coffee shop near me or whatever, and then it's going to give you a keyword difficulty rating. So, and that rating is going to be from 0 to 100. So 0 to 14, very easy. 30 to 49 possible, 50 to 69 difficult, 70 to 84 hard. So that means a lot of competition. It's going to be a real challenge to rank well, or rank on the first page or 2 of Google against the competition. And then keywords 85 to 100 rating are very hard. And again, if you're a small company, maybe you have 1 coffee shop or 3 coffee shops, if there's a keyword that has an 85 to 100 rating, just skip it. Don't waste your time. Just move to other keywords and, focus on that. So SEMrush has a thing called a keyword magic tool. So basically you type in, coffee shop, and it will give you all sorts of other variations of that word coffee shop. And so, and then show you the search volume and the trends and the competition score and things like that. So you can see that in this example, we have, okay, coffee shops. There's 2.74 million searches per month for coffee shops. And if you go down that list and it says, okay, coffee shops open near me, there's 22,200 searches for that. And there's only a 47 keyword difficulty. So that's like medium. right? So that would be something we could search for. And then, again, there's all sorts of other stuff. There's local coffee shops, which has 8,100 searches per month, generally. So again, you can sort of, rather than try and compete for the keyword coffee shop or coffee shops, maybe try and compete for local coffee shops, right? Okay. Anyway, you get the example, I think. So that's sort of the keyword magic tool in SEMrush, but this kind of gives you an idea of what the research process, right? And picking the right keywords, picking selecting the right variations of these keywords to focus on. This is really important, and there's kind of an art to it, right? And then SEMrush has a thing called a keyword manager. So when you do searches like that, you can save the data and go back to it, and then you can see how that evolves over time and sort of keep track of it. So very, very useful tools when it comes to competing for SEO. Anyway, so there's another free tool called from Google itself. So it's called the Google Keyword Planner. If you have a Google account, you can just log in, search for Google Keyword Planner, you'll find it, and then you can type in words and see, monthly searches, competition, all that kind of stuff. And then you sort of have a better feel for what words actually will be appropriate for you. And that's free, right? That can also help you, keep track of specific words and searches. And what you're really looking for with this is keywords with reasonable volume, right? So if you have somebody that has that, or a keyword that only gets 10 searches a month, it's probably not going to be, that's not really a reasonable amount of volume. You would love to have something that gets, more 10,000 searches a month or something like that. But it's not at the super massive level where everybody and the big companies are competing on them. So you're looking for keywords with a reasonable volume, and then a competition score or competition rating that's sort of in the medium to low area. So it'll be lower amount of traffic, but lower competition, meaning that you should be able to compete pretty well, pretty quickly, and get a fair share of that search volume pointed to your website. So that's sort of the strategy. And then local SEO is a bit of a different animal than what's like called non-geographic SEO. So up until now, we've been talking about like non-geographic SEO mostly, right? But there's local SEO is more targeted to your own area. So for example, like a coffee shop or a gas station or a grocery store or restaurant, or if you're in Albany, New York, and you're a gas station, and getting search traffic from California, it isn't really going to help your business. So with local SEO, we're really only focused on people that are locally around your business, from a maybe 10 to 20 or 30 or 40 mile range. But that's sort of the difference between local SEO and regular SEO. So local SEO, there's a couple of main things that are really important when it comes to local SEO. One is what's referred to as NAP, name, address, and phone. And so we want our listings on various like directories and other websites, that we want to ensure that they have the same name, address, and phone exactly as typed on their website, because Google, for example, does not like inconsistency. So if it finds your name listed here and there, and they're not quite the same, they don't match exactly, that you won't get the benefit of them knowing exactly where you are. They'll be a little confused and they'll go, well, it's listed two different places as two different kind of things. Not sure, we're not going to show that. So name, address, phone, NAP is really important. And we want to make sure that that's something that we really focus on. And so there's some tools out there to help us submit our correct NAP information to local directories and listings and websites and stuff like that, so that when Google looks at this stuff, they get the right information. They know for sure what our NAP listing stuff is. And so then we will rank higher. So there's tools like this on the left that show you exactly the rating for a keyword. So in this one, this keyword we're using is family lawyer. And for a local company that's based right in the middle, you can see there's a little target there in the very middle. And we're coming up as number 1 for family lawyer in that area. Now, if you go a little bit below us, you go 2 steps down, now we're ranking number 11 for if somebody types in family lawyer, then we're not going to be ranked number 1. So this shows you that, oh, okay, well, maybe down here, I need to do a little focus on getting my name, address, and phone listed correctly. Maybe I can work on trying to find some inbound links to get that will help verify and raise my SEO performance, my local SEO performance. So there's a lot of this stuff, and as I said, as you're competing with the larger companies, this is what the larger companies are focusing on, and this is why they're so hard to beat, is that they go to this kind of level of attention, I guess, and they focus on these kinds of things. And so, this company is going to say, okay, well, this number, 11, 15, 14, 12, the red ones down in the bottom there of that graph or that map, they're going to say, we got to do something about that. So they're going to come up with a strategy to improve those numbers. And again, that's sort of one of the reasons why SEO or websites is SEO performance is a challenge. So anyway, but it's important to know that this stuff is out there and that it works and that this is how the big guys are doing it, because smaller companies really can do well as long as they focus on keywords that are appropriate and that are more locally focused, and more sort of targeted, longer tail keywords. They can do really well. So Moz is the other company that has really, really powerful tools. So it's moz.com, and this helps build all sorts of, gives you a lot of data, monthly volume, difficulty score, click-through rates, keyword suggestions. It gives you SERP analysis, which is search engine results pages analysis. So it's gives you an immense amount of data. And again, this is sort of how the bigger companies compete for SEO and for those really big, highly sought after and competitive keywords. They're using either SEMrush or Moz, and they're focusing on this sort of detail to it. But anyway, so once we sort of pick a number of keywords, and the important point to know here with SEO is that you really can only optimize one page on your website with a single keyword. So if you have a website that has 10 pages, you really can only optimize for 10 keywords. So that's where larger websites have a competitive advantage. Also, for smaller businesses, that's where blogs become quite beneficial. If you can write and post blog posts that are related to specific topics and use specific keywords and things like that, that's going to help you a lot. That's going to help you a real lot. So anyway, the process, once you sort of select, okay, I got a 10-page website, I'm going to take 10 keywords, okay, I've done all this research, I've chosen my 10 keywords. And then what you do is you sort of, compare them, and and so now you can sort of look at them and say, okay, these are all the keywords I really want. Here's the search volume and the keyword difficulty and things like that. Okay. But now I've only got a 10-page site, so now I'm going to take only 10 of the keywords, and then I'm going to assign each of those 10 keywords to a specific page on my website. So that's where you do that here in this kind of thing. Okay, so you're showing, okay, it's going to be on, my home page is going to have this keyword, my about page is going to have this one, blah, blah, blah. And then once you sort of assign each keyword to a page, then you're going to, go through a process something like this, where, you've got your current stuff in the section above, and then you're going to have the new stuff down below. So you're going to say, okay, well, I've got now I've got this keyword on my home page, and so now I'm going to change my URL for that page to match to highlight the keyword. I'm going to have the title and title tag. I'm going to edit those appropriately. The meta description, I'm going to do that. The alt tag and the keyword in text. So these are some of the places where you need to put the keyword, use the keyword in a sentence, and these are some of the ways you're going to do it. So you're going to sort of take all the pages of your website, and you're going to assign them a keyword, and then you're going to go through this process of making the changes that you're going to eventually make on your website once they're all sort of finalized and approved. But that's kind of what this process looks like. So here's sort of an example of like a client that we did a long time ago. So you're going to take, like, the home page now is going to be www. Name of the company, but then / farm and feed store. So if farm and feed store was like our main keyword that we wanted, right? So it's here. So then, in our SEO title, we're going to have farm and feed store. We're going to have a header tag that's going to be between 20 and 70 characters, and we're going to have that farm and feed store, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go continue making all the changes so that this phrase, this keyword phrase, is utilized in all the appropriate places where it should be. So that's kind of what that process looks like. So here's a couple of the tags that you should, where you should use it. So this is a little bit of on page, but a little bit of off page stuff. So a title tag, the tag is off page, right? It's in the code, but you actually have a title on your website. So it's both. But this, you use the keyword in here, again, in normal written English, right? So you can't just put the title tag there and just, that's it. It's got to be sort of used in a sentence. Google's smart enough to know that, people want to read a sentence, not just, words with, no meaning kind of thing. So, and then in the meta description, here, in there, there's, the keywords, and then alt tags. So we search engines can't read an image, right? So when you have an image on your website, Google doesn't know what that image means because it can't read an image. So, but there's a thing called an alt tag, which is associated with that image. So when Google finds an alt tag, it says, oh, there's an image and here's what it's about. So you put your keyword in the alt tag, and then that helps tell Google what that image is about and presumably what that page is about. So just so you know, when you're implementing these keywords, and again, why they have to be in normal written English when you're in the United States, is so when you put in the title tag, this is what shows up in Google, right? Saturday Night Live, NBC.com, that's the title tag. The meta description is the black words or gray words down here. Watch videos, the Emmy Award-winning comedy show, Saturday Night Live is in its 42nd season. So the tags do correlate with information that becomes visible. And again, that's why you need to make sure that they are used in proper sentences that make sense to people. Okay. So here's like if this is on page stuff, so implementing keywords in page content. So you may have a header on above the, a text of, a paragraph of content. That header, the way it's formatted is using a header tag, so an H1 or H2 or H3 tag. But what is in the H1 tag is used by Google to figure out what that page is about. So Google has figured, well, if there's a description above this paragraph of content and it's in an H1 tag, that means it's sort of a header for that block of text, right? So Google will look at what's in the H1 tag and use that to help determine what that page is about. So that's where the H1 tag comes into play. Then in that content, those couple of paragraphs, you need to use your keyword again in that content, but again, as English. Like you can't just throw the words there. You've got to use them in a sentence and all that stuff. And if you don't, then Google's going to penalize you. So, you might as well not do anything rather than get penalized by Google. And then the third one there is blogs. Again, blogs are a really good way to get around the fact that you only have a 5 or 10 page website. Okay. So blogs are a great way to focus on some specific kinds of keywords. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of how do you implement these keywords? Like what does this mean? We only have about 10 minutes, so I think I'm getting down to the last couple of pages here, but probably have to kind of speed up a little. For example, in a tool like Wix, if you build a website tool in Wix, for example, if you go to the page settings, you can come here where it says, what's the URL slug, last part of the URL for this page, okay? And so it says digital marketing, small business. So this slug, right, which comes after the company name .com / boom, then the slug, that slug is really important, and you can change that for any page on your website. And so here, Wix is giving you the chance to change your URL for that page to utilize the desired keyword or keyword phrase. So then below that, there's a title tag. So here we want to say digital marketing for small business, Endorphin Digital. So here you're actually seeing this is on our website. So, and then below it says, what's this page's meta description? Well, the meta description is also that tag meta description, and you need to use your keyword in that description, okay, in normal English. So we've done that. So again, you have the tools to make changes to in your website to take advantage of SEO principles. So I once heard from somebody, they said, oh, well, I heard that Wix is bad for SEO. Well, it's not, because see, they're giving you all the tools. And it's the same with Squarespace. So Squarespace gives you the tools that you need to make the SEO changes to your website to get more traffic. Again, here are some of the things. So here's the heading tag, right? It's primarily a font, right? It's just saying, okay, we're going to make this bit of text, we're going to make it in the font of the heading number 1. But we also know that Google looks at the heading number 1 font or the H1 tag to say, okay, what's this page about? Because if you're putting something in a header, that means it's sort of summarizing what's below. So again, there's how you take advantage of what we know about what's important to Google. So you can edit your H1 tag. Okay, just real quickly, there are, as I mentioned, penalties that Google makes if you try and game the system and you don't do it right. So if you just took, like my previous example of lawn mowing service, and you put lawn mowing service, lawn mowing service, lawn mowing service, lawn mowing service in your H1 tag, first it would look terrible on your website because that's what it would show is lawnmower service, repeat it. So people would be like, this website's terrible. But that's called keyword stuffing. So that people used to do this like 10 years ago. They used to be able to do that and then it would work. But again, Google has smartened up and they know that that's what people do and that it's not good for users, website visitors. So they know that if you repeat your keyword without using it in a real sentence, then you are keyword stuffing and they're going to penalize you. So just beware. And it's pretty simple, right? Just, avoid these penalties. Just select a primary keyword, like in the red box here, create enough content on your page, right? Use the keyword right, and use natural language, and you'll be fine. You will not get penalized by Google. But again, if you try and play game the system, kind of thing, you really will. You'll have problems. Anyway, here's a guide that you can get. It's a free guide that we've done. It's on our website. It's a little dated at this point, but it's still very useful. And you can just click and download it, and it will sort of give you some more information about sort of search engine optimization and improving your search results. Here's a couple of free resources from us. Again, we do all sorts of free reviews and consultations if you'd like to ask me questions, or ask for any of the resources that we've seen here, or whatever. I'm happy to share that with you. So just don't hesitate to get in contact with us or with me, and would love to speak with you. So, Jenny, I hope we did okay. Are there any questions there?
There are questions, and I do want to clarify that we will send out a PDF that has these links of these different resources that Erik has shared today. So you will get all of those in a follow-up email coming to you in the next couple of days, along with a recording link as well. So now we will go into questions. If you have proper keywords, Erik, can you compete with sites that use paid advertising or have affiliate programs? How does the power of SEO stack up with those other types of advertising?
Well, it's really two different things, and you can compete, but paid advertising is, you don't really want to compare these two things. They're very different. SEO works for certain reasons, and it's beneficial for certain reasons, whereas advertising is completely different. There are certain people out there, and you can ask around yourself, but you can ask people, hey, do you ever search or click on the ads in Google? And some people will be like, I click on the ads. Or, it's like, why would I do that? I want the ones that Google is showing me, or some people might say, oh yeah, I click on those sometimes. Or so it's very different, and they shouldn't really be compared.
Thank you for that answer. So the next question, SEMrush and Moz, they are somewhat expensive, are they not? Can you share some information about that?
They're not. Yeah, I mean, if you're a tiny business, they're somewhat expensive. But we're talking like $40-50 a month for this, and for most businesses, that's like one more customer, and you paid for it. So, that's the way to think about this. Is if you get one customer, it's not, you want to think about this as lifetime value of a customer. And so, for example, if you get a customer, you shouldn't, they on average say they spend $200 with you, or you make $200 in profit from whatever they buy. But what happens if they stay with you for 10 years? And maybe the typical customer stays with you for 10 years. So it's not $200 that you're making from one new customer. You're making 200 times 10, because the typical customer stays with you for 10. So that's $2,000. So I would happily pay $300 a month to get $2,000 in revenue. So that's the way to think about it. And again, if you're not doing any SEO or you're doing the real basics, and you haven't really gone through this whole process of research and all this, if you do it right, you are going to get more customers. And so the cost is minor compared to what you should make, depending on your business. So that's the way to think about it.
So I want to be respectful of your time, Erik. Do you have time to continue with questions or
Yeah,
no?
I'm good
Okay.
till 1:30. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, we will
Absolutely.
continue along. For those of you that need to leave us due to time constraints, we will send out the recording and you will be able to finish watching the Q&A through that recording. That will come in a follow-up email within the next couple of days. So we will continue on now. Tell us a little bit about how you would handle when to hire an SEO, like a marketing company, versus trying to handle it yourself. What would be those markers of how to handle the do-it-yourself versus hiring a professional?
Well, it's that's a great question, and I think the first thing I would do is look at my Google Analytics and see what how much traffic is my website getting today. Is it getting 5 visitors a week? Is it getting 100 visitors a day? Is it getting 500 visits a month? Whatever the number is. And I would see what I can do over the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever the time frame is, to improve that. And if I have a tight budget and I don't want to try and I'm not in a position to hire somebody now, I would say, okay, I'm going to spend a portion of my time each week learning about SEO, doing research, figuring out how to improve my website, and I'm going to spend 6 months doing this. And once you get to that 6-month period, if you haven't really moved the needle in terms of how much revenue your company is making, let alone how much more traffic your website's getting, then you should think about hiring somebody. But it's not impossible for somebody to just say, well, I'm going to focus on this myself. I'm going to find the right tools. I'm going to figure out the right process. I'm going to do the work that needs to be done. And I'm going to figure it out no matter what. Because there's some things that aren't easy to find out. Then you can figure this out. And if you figure this out and do it even moderately well, you're going to start getting more visitors to your website. And if you are doing that, then the question is, okay, I'm driving more traffic to the website. Am I getting enough of the right kinds of visitors where I'm getting more phone calls, I'm getting more purchases, I'm getting, more requests for a proposal or an estimate or whatever. And, hey, I can do this myself. And that's what I would think. But if you're the kind of person that's like, I don't even understand half what Erik was talking about today. I'm never going to research those terms and, figure out which are the right terms and then figure out, how do I format an H1 tag and a meta description and a alt tag and blah, blah, blah. Then you better just hire somebody. And again, advertising can do what is needed if you do the advertising well. And I'm talking search advertising. But you can also, I've seen many customers just blow a lot of money with trying to do that themselves or hiring their own company or whatever. And then you're just throwing money down the toilet or out the window. And then now you're in a worse position than you were before. So, if it fits in your budget, it's well worth the expense, because you're tracking things, and there's going to be solid proof of performance. And that's one of the things that I really like about digital marketing is we can show people exactly what is happening, exactly what we do, and exactly the changes that happen. So it's not guesswork, it's not assumptions, it's based on real data, real visitors, and real sales. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. And just to recap on that, so if somebody is already working with an SEO company currently, what are those key markers that they would be trying to track as far as the return on investment of working with that company? If you can just kind of, recap those for
Yeah,
this attendee.
that's a really good question, because I think you should, if you're working with an SEO person or company, you should be seeing the data that is showing their uh, improvement on your website visitors, on your your conversions, which is sort of a marketing term, but your conversions, meaning people that are signing up for your email list, people that are requesting a consultation, things like that. So your SEO resource should be proud and pleased to share with you the data to show that they are doing their job. If they're not, that's the first big red flag. If they are not showing you data, or if they are just saying, trust me, it's working, that's a big red flag. So you should be able to measure and monitor the real-time action of what's happening on your website, the changes that are being made, and then the improvements to what's happening on your website. And if they're making all these changes and there's no improvement, they're not making the right changes, and that's a red flag. So that think about the reporting, and your SEO person should be proud and happy to be showing you good results. And if they're not, it's a red flag.
Thank you. Now let's talk about some local traffic. If somebody's looking just to focus in on local traffic, do you recommend using the town name as part of how to try and get in the rankings with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great question. And absolutely. If you're in, you can, again, if you have enough pages on your website, you can use the town name, the city name, the region, like, we're in Albany or Troy, but so people might say, people also refer to this area as the capital region, right? So you could use a term like that. You might even say upstate New York, right? So there's all sorts of different variations, but you do want to test these with real search data. So, go to SEMrush, go to Moz, go to Google Keyword Planner, and type out those specific keywords. So, I'm a, lawn care service in Albany, in Troy, in the capital region, and see, do those have a reasonable amount of traffic, of searches? And if they do, then even a small amount, then it's worth doing that. Yeah.
So interesting follow-up on that. We have somebody who has a catering food truck business, so there isn't an address. What do you suggest in that situation for the local SEO?
Well, you still should have some sort of location address for your business, whether it's a PO box or an office, or something like that. For the PO box, you could put in, you can use the street address of the post office, right? So you don't have to say PO box. You can say, this is the address of where the post office is. So you can do that. And then you can, a good trick here is for places that have a location. So you're not working out of your house. You can, on your contact page, you can write directions from north, south, east, and west to your location. And you could use well-known local areas or names to, kind of sprinkle those in the directions to help maybe pick up something like that. So, you could, and you've probably seen this for some stores, it'll say from the north, you take this south and you go to this and you go to there and you take this turn and, you go over the George Washington Bridge and, you go past LaGuardia and there you are. So you could do that because that right there will sprinkle in some local terms and that might have some benefit.
Thank you.
And sorry, one last little
Go
tip
ahead.
also. You should have a frequently asked questions page on your website. And because again, frequently asked questions pages are all text. So Google will see that, find that, and it will take that text. So you could put in directions in your frequently asked questions. Where is your office? My office is in this place. Here's driving directions. So something to think about.
Great suggestion. So this attendee has some questions. If you could go into a little bit more depth about how Google penalizes websites that aren't doing things in the way that Google likes.
Yeah, so Google will, depending on how egregious your actions are or your offenses are, it might just penalize your performance by decreasing the number of, so you might normally come up as number 5 for a certain search. Well, it might say, okay, we're going to make you now number 205 in that search. Excuse me. So that's sort of what it does. If generally it's basically going to just take away the benefits of being found in search results. So it will decrease your performance in its rankings. It might not show you if somebody types in your name if you're really bad. That's its business. So, and it has policies. And if you game the system, you're going against those policies. And so it can do what it wants. It can remove you from its rankings. So it's not, they don't have to show you, right? So it's, you need to be aware of that, and you can't game the system because it's really, Google is a really, really important tool that everybody uses, and I just wouldn't mess with it at all. So.
Hey, good takeaway. Don't mess with Google. Got it. Thank you. We have a couple of questions about blogs. So what effect does ChatGPT AI have on your SEO if you use a blog created by it?
Well, it's so a blog is going to is going to help. And it's based on the content and the title and the page URL and all of that kind of stuff, and the alt tags and things like that. So Chat GPT is going to change things quite a bit. But the problem with tools like Chat GPT right now, at this point, is that the content that is produced by Chat GPT is either quite basic or false, right? So we know that Chat GPT makes things up. So for people that have studied it, they know that, for example, lawyers have written briefs using Chat GPT, and Chat GPT will make up citations, completely make them up, fabricate them, and say this is why our argument is such, is because based on this, and it's completely false. So I think they refer to those as like hallucinations, that Chat GPT has these hallucinations, it makes things up, it doesn't, there's no basis in the real world. So, and again, at this point, it's only synthesizing information in its database, right? Or in its large language model. So it's not going to come up with anything that is unique, that is very specific to what. So if you create blog posts in Chat GPT, which we've done to see how it works, they're very generic, and they're not that bad, but they're very generic. And so that is like being a poor writer. So if you're a poor writer and you write a lot of blog posts, they're still going to be bad. So you have to understand that there's so much content out there that Google is looking for stuff that people have gone to and read and stayed on the page a long time, and maybe they share that link, or maybe they then go to read another blog or things like that. So it shows to Google that, oh, that was a good page that we sent people to. But if people go to those blogs that aren't very good, they're going to stay on that page for a very short period of time, and they're going to leave, and they're not going to read another page. They're not going to stay on there to read the whole thing. And Google will see that in terms of the time spent on the page and things like that. So at this point, it's the tools aren't there to be worth really, unless you go in and edit them, after they're created, which is a good idea. You can easily create sort of get a starting point of a blog, and then go in and add some of your own kind of stuff, information. That could be fairly helpful, but yeah. So it's these tools, these AI tools, are going to be used a lot, and there's still some way to go until they're really good, really worthwhile.
Right. So I also want to recommend, we had a webinar back in August. If you go to our YouTube channel, it is there on ChatGPT, and that presenter went into some detail on using ChatGPT, like Eric was recommending, as a starting point and then adding to it. And so I can definitely recommend, go back and look for that one. It'll give you some more information as well. So this next attendee had a question. So could you give your top 3 blog best practices when it comes to SEO, or maybe just in general? But this attendee said they know it's a broad topic, but just top 3 blog best practice recommendations.
So the number one thing to do with any of your marketing is to know what your customer wants. Okay. So if you can include information that directly speaks to what they want, that is going to be really helpful. So, for example, you might talk to several of your clients or customers and say, what do you like best about our products? Or how do our products help you? Or how do our services help you? Or, here are some specific scenarios where, we helped clients, real life stories kind of thing. Those are the things that are going to make blog articles really relevant and really resonate with people that are reading them. And that's exactly not what ChatGPT can do, right? And so again, it's the simplest thing in the world to say the companies that know their customers best will win. But that can be the answer for most of your marketing questions, is know the customer best, right? Know what they want, share that and say, we did this and this helped customers and this is what they want and this is what we gave them, this is how we helped them, and give the specifics. And that's what's going to help. And that's where the real value comes in of the companies that really know their customers. So that's the best tip I can give you is, go out and talk to customers and find out what they need and they like, and find out what they think about your competitors, find out what they think about you and your business. It's not easy to hear that sometimes, but you got, the truth is the truth, and to some people, and we just have to ask, and people will tell us. And if one customer says it, many customers are thinking it. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, great advice. And I would think that that's something that you could utilize ChatGPT with to perhaps put together some of those details and then have ChatGPT maybe help you make it into text for a blog that then you went back and edited or something like that to maybe speed up your writing process. But again, starting with those personal details and then using it as a tool to help you flesh that out, I think would make sense.
Yeah, if you can do a survey and then GPT would be fantastic for tabulating the results and drawing inferences from the results. So exactly what you're saying. Yes, that would be a great use for ChatGPT.
Well, we have one last question and we will let you then be on your way because we know you have a 1:30 appointment. So the last question for today is, what is your experience with human services and nonprofits in the SEO field? What recommendations do you have for those in those areas?
Yeah, it's a little bit similar, and it's a little bit different, because people don't necessarily go onto Google to find somebody to donate to, for example. So they don't necessarily look up, hey, I want to find a nonprofit in my area that is helping men with mental illness, or something like that. So in that respect, the SEO is somewhat different for those kinds of organizations, and that's where the personal stories come in, and the event management in terms of having events, bringing people in to hear stories, and bring volunteers in and things like that. that's where that comes into play and is very powerful in terms of telling stories. And that's where email marketing is very, very important. Social media is pretty important. And so yeah, SEO is going to be, I think, a little bit different for those kinds of things. That's actually a really good question. And I have to actually look into that a little bit. So. Yeah.
Well, I would invite that presenter to get in touch with Erik so he can think about it and let you know his answer later on. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah, good
Yes,
question.
thank you. Thank you. That one was submitted anonymously, that attendee. So please do get in touch with Erik at the information that he shared today, and that would be fantastic to follow up with him.
There you go.
Oh, there it is. Perfect, Erik. Thank you. All right. So we are going to wrap things up today. Thank you, Erik, again, for being so generous with your time. Thank you, everybody, for your well thought out questions. It's great to have this interaction and see kind of what the exact issues are that all of you are dealing with as small business owners. So we really appreciate your input into today's presentation. And we will send out that follow-up email in the next day or two with a link to the recording and a link to a PDF of resources from the presentation. So you have these links that Erik has been referencing today. We kindly ask you that if you have a few minutes, you can take the survey that will appear when I shut the webinar down. It will also be linked in that follow-up email. It helps us to have feedback on our presentations. If you have questions about this webinar, please remember that you can always reply to that email that you receive, and we'll be able to direct you to resources or to Erik to get you the help that you need. And with that, I will say thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, Jenny, and to the SBDC, and thank you, everybody, for your time today. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye, all.